Afternoon, one and all. Today, I'm going to give a presentation on a diagnosis and analysis of anal- nanoparticles by DLS analyzer. DLS stands for dynamic light scattering, which we can oftenly call it as Rayleigh scattering. Uh, and this method, Rayleigh scattering, or dynamic light scattering, it's a technique that is used to characterize the particles which is under micron and nano sized level. Generally, in case of an industry like a drug industry, chemical-based industries, and ceramic and clay manufacturing industry have a critical issue with characterizing the particle which is having the very less size, maybe in terms of the micron or a nanometer. So it is important to have a characterizing such material because that the particles are a substances which is having the particles under the size of the micron or nano level, which is having the great influence on their property. For example, the surface area, the chemical reaction, the packing density, all such kind of a property can be dependent on the particle size of a substances. So it is important to characterize the particle in a precise manner. So it is a critical issue in case of such industry, as I mentioned earlier. So the importance of the particle size analysis, like as I mentioned, the particle size analysis gives information about the size distribution of the particle. So generally, we cannot say if you take an example of 100 gram the powder in a one container, all the particles in a sample will not have a same size or same diameter. We cannot say like that. We can characterize based on the size average particle size distribution. We can take a count of that average number of particle which is having the similar or a range of a size, we can say. Okay, that we are going to characterize generally. And the surface area of the particle is critical in determining the rate of a chemical reaction. That means that's one of the important. The surface area is more critical because of that the chemical reaction which is occur. It depends on the particle size of a substances. If the particle size is lesser, there is a more chances of the chemical reaction occurring within the solution and the substances. So that is why the surface area is that is important of this particle size analysis, and also the potential to dissolve. So generally, we all know that whenever the particles are having the lesser size, there is a more tendency towards the rate of dissolving. So that is actually influencing to characterize the particle with a submicron level sizes. And also the packing density is one of the more important term we are actually concentrating while we are fabricating the substances in a micro and a nano size level. Generally, whenever the particle size is under the substances having a larger particle size, we all know that there is a poor packing density, and that the finer the particle, the particle with the smaller size tend to the higher, the good packing density. And also, apart from these all importance, the product appearance and the texture that will change the perspective of the customers in case of the industries like a clay and ceramic, the article manufacturing, the industries. So the product appearance and the textures will also play a role. So that is also the important to characterize the particles, the particle under submicron level stages. The method of the particle size analysis. So there are several methods are used to characterize the particle under submicron level. We can say, and I wanted to clarify the one thing in the earliest. I'm using the term the particle here, like the ceramic, the powder particle. So generally, the particle may be of the metallic, non-metallic, the polymer, rubber, or a biological sample, whatever it may be. But I'm using the term with reference to that is a ceramic particle because I have done my research based on the SiC nano size particle. So the first method of characterizing the particles is like a sieving method. This is one of the oldest material. This is one of the oldest material used to characterize the particles, and generally that is preferable for the dry powder of a clay and ceramic powder, and we cannot able to characterize or to find out the particle size distribution of the wet sample emulsions or some kind of a sediment kind of a substances cannot be characterized with the help of a sieving method. So that's the drawback. And in the second one, the sedimentation method, the clay and ceramic industries oftenly using such method, sedimentation, and that is not sedimentation method is not preferable to characterizing the biological sample, and also and the powder suspended in the some sort of a emulsion or kind of a solvent cannot be characterized with the help of this sedimentation. And in the next method, electrozone testing is a kind of a recent technique used to characterize the biological samples under submicron level. The same will not be using for the characterization of, a dry sample, a dry powder. And the last one, the laser diffraction or laser scattering, we can oftenly call it, is the most advanced and accurate recent technique that is used to characterize all sort of a sample, maybe biological sample, clay, ceramics, and dry sample, wet sample. If the some sort of a particles are suspended in any kind of a solvent, can be characterized in a more accurate way with the help of this laser diffraction method. And dynamic light scattering particle, DLS, the particle size distribution analysis, we can oftenly call it as DLS. Light scattering, we can oftenly call it as Rayleigh scattering. I need a second. And sorry for the interruption. Dynamic light scattering size distribution, which is oftenly using for the characterization of the submicron level, the particles may be either any kind of a sample, wet sample, dry sample, or a biological sample can be characterized with the help of this. So this technique, which actually consisting of the laser source and the detector, which is actually provided here, and in the either side of this sample chamber, that actually capture the scattering intensity of the laser which is coming out of the chamber, and the sample may be in the form of a powder which is suspended in some kind of a solvent, or a solution has to be kept in a transparent glass tube or a glass chamber, if we can call it as cuvette. So that has to be placed between the laser source and the object at target. So a detector, because of the particles are suspended in the solution, that may undergo some sort of a motion. We can call it as the Brownian motion. So, because of that moment of a particle within the solution, the laser light, which is actually incidenting on the surface of a sample or a particle, that may get scattered. And the detectors are placed here in the intention of capturing that scattered intensity, the random scattered intensity of a laser light. Okay, so the particle size can be determined by measuring these random changes in the intensity of a light scattered from the suspension or a solution. The technique is best used for, as I mentioned earlier, the submicron level or a nano, in case of the nano level or nanometer level characterization. And dynamic light scattering and the Brownian motion. So generally, the dynamic light scattering utilizes this Brownian motion in order to capturing the speed of the movement of a particle. So, by capturing the speed of the movement of a particle in order to characterize the particle size. So the DLS technique that primarily the measures the Brownian motion of a macromolecule molecules in solution that arises due to bombardment of the any kind of a particle, maybe ceramics or a biological sample, or so, any such to another due to bombardment of one over the other. Such movement we can oftenly call it a Brownian movement. So that moment, the speed of the movement of the particle can be captured with the help of this laser technique. Okay, and that the speed of the Brownian motion is influenced by the many factors, which is actually here the particle size can be identified or characterized by correlating the technical correlating this speed of the moving particle with a time taken. So that is why we are actually stressing on this Brownian motion here. While we are carried out testing or characterization operation, we have to concentrate on several factors here. That is the particle size, which plays an important role here. So whenever the particle size is bigger, maybe in terms of the macro level, we can say the moment of a particle is lesser. So whenever the particle size is smaller, the smaller size particle can move easily and in a more faster rate than the bigger size particle. So the Brownian moment is higher in case of the finer or smaller size particle. And also the viscosity plays a very important role here in the Brownian motion that has to be optimized before taking the sample into the testing chamber. And the temperature plays a very important role because if the temperature is higher in that particular chamber where we are keeping that sample, so that will improve or what I can say, it can be increases the Brownian moment of a particle. Similarly, while we are characterizing or testing a component, it is preferred to holding a temperature at a constant rate. That is preferable while we are taking a trial of this testing. So the Brownian motion and the particle size, again, the smaller particle is a more rapid, the Brownian motion become. That means whenever the finer the particle, the greater the movement. So that's what we all know in the suspension. And the larger particle is having a slower Brownian motion. The higher temperature and the more rapid Brownian motion, that has to be some of the important. So these are some of the factors influencing this, a trial or a reading which we are going to characterize. That has to be maintained in a constant manner. So again, the particle size, and from the slide 1 to here, we are discussing about the particle size and particle size distribution kind of a thing. And I have a question here: how can we able to how can we able to determine a three-dimensional object in a one number? The particles, we can say, it may be having a random size, irregular shape, or irregular size, we can say. Can we able to identify it as the one number? Actually, the answer is no. But with the help of some technical correlation and the recent method, we can able to determine the average the particle size distribution is possible. So since the particle size has to be mentioned in terms of a diameter with help of this DLS technique, the property of a particle and all the particle size analysis technique measure some property of a particle and report the result as equivalent to spherical diameter. Based on these measured parameters, generally there are a different method we are used to determine the particle size as well as the particle size distribution. What actually such method will do is they will find out some sort of a property, maybe surface energy, diffusion bonding, ionic bonding, a kind of a property they will find out and they will report some answer. If the same sample may be undergone different techniques used to particle size analyzer, they may give a different result. But based on the studies, we can say that the laser scattering or a Rayleigh scattering is one of the most accurate method we can able to characterize this particle size distribution up to 100 to 10 nanometer, up to the smaller size particle size characterization is possible with this method. And so here, in this case of the DLS light scattering method, the particle size can be determined as a diameter. So generally, that diameter we can oftenly refer it as hydrodynamic diameter, because generally the sample size or structure is not circular. Like, it may having the irregular shape, maybe, the wet sample, dry sample, or a biological sample may be having a different size and structure. But here they were considering a different factor, like the concentration on the ion diffusion on the the diameter of the heart. The definition of the hydrodynamic diameter is a diameter of a hot sphere that diffuses at the same speed as the particle or a molecule being measured. So, with the help of this technique, by considering all the size of the particle core, and also the concentration of ion which is around the particle, maybe the particle is having irregular shape, particle is having irregular shape, but it is having the ionic concentration around the particle. They will consider that as a hydrodynamic diameter here. So then, so this technique, the equipment will actually consider all such parameters: the core, the surface area, ionic concentration, and that will deliberate the particle size as a diameter. And in this slide, these are some of the components here. This DLS technique consisting of the laser source and the glass chamber may be consisting of the particle suspended in some sort of a solution, and the photon counting devices we can often call it as detector, which actually detects or identify the random changes in their intensity of a scattered light, and thus the same signal has been sent into the DSP, digital signal processor, and that will make a correlation between the scattered intensity into a time, so that will be deliberated as the particle size. And here is the intensity of fluctuation and the Brownian motion plot in simple words. You can see here the laser source projected towards the sample for the two different cases, one for the smaller size particle, another one for the larger size particle. As I mentioned earlier, whenever the particle size is smaller, the fluctuation or the Brownian moment is higher, and in case of the larger particles, so since the particle size is higher, the fluctuation is little lesser compared to the smaller size particle. Hence, the fluctuation intensity is also lesser in case of this larger particle. And you can see the fluctuation intensity is too high and too ups and down in case of the smaller size particle. Sometimes we can say the particle may having different phases, so that can also be indicated in case of this different the plot between the fluctuation intensity with respect to the time. And so the correlation in dynamic light scattering, and generally in case of the DLS technique for extracting the time dependence of a signal in the presence of noise. So they were actually plotting this fluctuation intensity versus time in order to capture the time dependence of the signal in the presence of the noise in the chamber. And with the help of the correlation with these two, they can able to deliberate the particle size as a diameter. So here, for the time 0, generally the sample has to undergo some definite set of a time, maybe 10 second, 20 second, 30 second likewise. So before that, the sample has to be prepared by inserting the powder particle into the solvent. Again, that liquid sample has to be kept in the chamber. So that time, for the time 0, the tau we can consider as 0, that means the time 0. The fluctuation may vary based on the time. So here the correlation coefficient is 0. And if we continue for a 1 minute, we can say the correlation coefficient plays a reading. The fluctuation again increases for the time 1 minute. With the help of the correlation between these two, they take a different readings, and for the time 2, for a 2 minutes, the correlation is different, and again for the a different again for the different time duration, the sample has to undergo a different set of the time period. Generally, we are preferring a 10 to 20 seconds per sample, but if you are keeping the sample for a longer duration, that fluctuation of the intensity may vary from 1 minute to another, but it is preferable to keep the sample in chamber between that time 10 to 20 seconds. So we'll take at least some 4 minute sample, that is tau 1 to tau 2 tau 3 and 4. So this will be the correlation between this fluctuation intensity and the correlation coefficient plot with reference to the time taken, 3 minutes. You can see here how actually it reaches for the time infinity. So likewise, the correlation function between this, the fluctuation intensity with respect to the time, we can able to correlate or to deliberate the exact size of a particle, even the size of a nano, maybe submicron level can be possible with this. Even the small intensity fluctuation can be detectable by this device. Even I have mentioned in case of defining that a correlation definition and all the time. So even it can consider that is noise of that correlation coefficient is provided for the noise also. They provided correlation coefficient by considering noise within the chamber. So that is it. This is the correlation function again for the particle with a single phase and dual phase. Sometimes there may be a combination of the powder sample, maybe put it, has to undergo a testing. For such cases, you can see here a larger size particle having less fluctuated the scattered intensity, and the smaller size particle having higher the fluctuation intensity with the steeper curve. Here you can see this, the correlation coefficient, the plot between the correlation coefficient and the time. What we can identify from these two is, the particle size is directly proportional to this, the correlation coefficient curve. If the particle size is higher, the curve will be much, less steeper. If the particle size is smaller, we'll get a more steeper curve. Okay, so with reference to the millisecond they mentioned here in the time, so based on the particle size, this a correlation correlation coefficient curve, it will get a more steeper. Okay, so this is the complete one cycle graph for a smaller and the larger cycle particle. Hold on for a second. Hold on. Okay, sorry. So this is the one cycle plot for the particle with a smaller size and a larger size. We're not actually mentioning the size range of the particle here. In the first graph, it is the intensity versus the time plot for the smaller particle and the larger particle. Okay, that we have studied earlier. And again, the second plot is between the time and the correlation coefficient. As we have discussed, the plot between the correlation coefficient and the time, that curve will be much steeper for the smaller size particle due to the higher the moment of a particle within that, a higher fluctuation intensity due to the moment of particle within that sample. Okay, for the one complete cycle, the curve will be looks like this. We are, this is the plot between the intensity and the size in nanometer. Okay, once after considering this plot between the time and the correlation coefficient, they will measure actually that is, that is the time dependent signal in presence of a noise we captured here. For the one cycle, that is the graph, the finally plot between the particle size versus the intensity. Okay, so it is, from this last plot between the intensity and the size of the particle, it is sure that we can able to identify, or we can able to determine the particles which is having a size range between 0.12 up to 1000 nanometer. Even the particle which is having up to 1 to 10 nanometer can be determined with the help of these DLS particle size analyzer. The same cannot be possible with the rest of the, the method which we have come through this earlier. And in case of the larger particle size, we can see this, how effectively they have plotted graph by the correlation of this intensity and the time. So again, the first plot between the intensity and the time for the larger particle, the fluctuation intensity is smaller compared to the earlier, and that may be correlated into, again, plotted between the time and the correlated intensity. And with the help of the algorithm technique, they can able to plot a one complete cycle plot, and the all particle, the size range is in the range of around 800, 750 to 3000, the one complete cycle. But you can see that the peak of this, the plot is around 1000 nanometer. That means majority of the particle, the average particle we can found in the sample is in the range of these 1000 nanometer. The highest peak of this one cycle we can see here, that is the up to 10 to 12% of the intensity. So here in the first cycle, the particle size range around 10 nanometer, 10 to 15 nanometer. So likewise, so the average particle size distribution depends on the median, or the highest peak cycle obtained on this plot between the intensity and the size one. So this is the test result which we are actually obtaining from that method, DLS technique. Between the summary sheet we can obtain actually once after the sample undergone testing, this sheet will appear at the end of the test. So they will give the tabulation between the size range and the intensity. So likewise, so based on the algorithm and the calculation and the correlation between this time and the intensity, this tabular column is obtainable, and we will get a graph like this. So here it is plot between the intensity and the size. So here you can see this, the small size, the bar chart of a different intensity is appeared one beside of the other. That actually, reveals the percentage of the particle which is available in that sample within that size range. So it is, whenever we are studying about the particle with a submicron level size, maybe in terms of a nano size, we cannot say all the particle in the sample is in the same range. Maybe it's in the range, or else we can say average particle size maybe with this so and so with some number. But all the particle should not have the same number. So that will be, revealed clearly with the help of this plot here. You can see this intensity and the size plot. We can see this from this table from the beginning. For the size range of 0.4 nanometer, the intensity level is 0. And again, for the size range up to 0.4 to 68.06 nanometer, the intensity level is 0. You can identify this. Up to 68 nanometer, the intensity fluctuations is not visible, that means. And after that, we can see here from the 78.82 nanometer, it start fluctuating. That means the particle size range in the given sample within that trial is the minimum size range is start from the 78.82 nanometer with a 0.1 percentage of the fluctuation intensity. So likewise, by the ascending order of this particle size in terms of the nanometer, so the percentage of intensity varies up to some certain limit. You can see this maybe. So 12.2 is the highest peak, highest intensity fluctuation with this method, and after that it goes on decreasing. So that within the given time duration for this method, we can say the fluctuation of this intensity start varying from beginning to end. It will be goes on increasing up to one particular point and again goes on decreasing. So here what we can understand from this plot is the highest peak may be in the range of the 100 nanometer we can say. That means the average number of the particles are in the range of the 100 nanometer generally we can say. So, and also the majority of the component or particles are in the size range of 90 to around 150 nanometer. Okay. Likewise, based on the bar chart of a fluctuation intensity plotted with respect to the against to the size in nanometer, we can able to deliberate this particle size. Okay. So again, there are some requirement in order to prepare a sample for this DLS technique. We have to follow, or else it is difficult to obtain the precise value since we are operating with substances or a particle with a nano size. Most of the time, the particles in the nano size we cannot able to see in a bare eyes. That can be very difficult to handle. When, in some microstructural studies, we can use some glass piece and all. We can make a solution and put a drop of that solution on the glass plate and made it to dry. Like that we can do, but here for this DLS technique, so that particles to be characterized has to be immersed in some sort of a solvent, and the sample should consist of a dispersion of particle in a liquid medium. The dispersion should meet the following requirement. That means the solution consisting of a particle which we are placing within the cavity, it has to be come up with some sort of a requirement. It should be transparent. So since we are passing a laser light here, it has to be transparent and should maintain a refractive index that is different from the particle. And I mean, we're talking about the chamber which has a diffractive index different from the particle. Ri and the viscosity should be known with accuracy better than the 0.5 percentage. The viscosity of the solution that has to be determined earlier before keeping the sample into that chamber, and should be compatible with this particle. That solution which we are placing, that particle should be compatible with the particle, no, not cause swelling, or sometime that maybe dissolution may takes place. Such things should not happen while we are carried out this operation. And it should be clean and filterable. So most of the time we face a issue like, in case of nano material synthesis or characterization, the major issue we face is like, containing contamination, we can say. Most of the time while we are exchanging the sample from one container to another, there may be a chance of the containing that will spoil the entire trial of a test and also spoil the material. So that is why it should be the clean and filterable that is recommended. And for this, I took a case study about, this is up to now, we studied about the material and the constraint and the principle and how actually they calibrate the particle size with the help of a Rayleigh scattering method we have discussed. And in the second part, we'll go through the case study about this technique. It is Rayleigh, that is that DLS technique we are used in our work to characterize the nanosized particle that we have synthesized by top-down approach by ball milling. I think we'll elaborate a little more for this. We have taken we have taken silicon carbide, a micron size powder, maybe some 150 to 300 micron meter particle size, and that particle will is ball milled for a longer duration, from up to 45 hours. We have a ball mill. Once after every 10 hours is completed, we are taken out the sample. So, the ball milling consisting of the jar, which is actually rotating, it is made up of the tungsten carbide material, and within that, they provided the ball that is made up of agate, one of the natural material which is free from the contamination. And also, the tungsten carbide jar is insidely lined with the agate material. That is one material which is preferable in order to avoid the contamination in case of the ball milling process. And this equipment is a kind of the planetary kind of a ball milling equipment that can run up to 1,400 RPM, but we have fixed it to some 250 to 300 RPM. So the sample we have taken, 50 grams of the powder sample has taken, and and by using the 10 number of the ball, which is having a 10 millimeter the diameter, the powder will be ball milled for a longer duration, up to 40 hours, and the sample will be taken out after every 10 hours, and that has to be tested under a DLS particle size analysis. And also the same sample is tested for microstructure and the morphology analysis. So once after a 10 hour, once after ball milling a sample for a 10 hour, we are taken out the sample and again sonicated, and that sample, before it is pouring into that chamber of a cavity of a material of the equipment, it has to be sonicated thoroughly in order to avoid the agglomeration of the particle. Most of the time, whenever the particle size is smaller, the smaller size of particle will exhibit more or a higher surface energy that tend to, and the clustering of the particle one over the other. So it is difficult to separate. So we have used that method, sonicator, like keeping a particle in some sort of some suspension and vibrate it for some definite set of time. So after the sample preparation has done, we have taken a trial. The test result will be like this. The sample size, the decrease in mean particle size after 10 hours of milling time, that could be due to impact force acting on the power particle stuck in between the balls and also between the ball and ball surface jar. That due to the continuous impact between the ball to ball and the ball to jar, the particles, we know that the particle size will be decreases. We know, because we studied the process, we know that particle size will be decreases, but we don't know that at what range the particle size will decreases. In order to study that, we have come through this. So the chart will be looks like that. At one side it is showing the percentile, and another side it is showing the size in terms of nanometer. So like in the chart which is passed between the intensity and the size in nanometer, you can see that all a bar chart, all the vertical bars in the range between 800 to almost 1000 or 3000 nanometer up to, but the majority of the particles are in the range of the 1000 nanometer. So the green colored lane actually indicate that the mean particle size or the average particle size range. That means the majority of the particle are in the range of the 1000 nanometer. Okay, and also we can able to identify at what percentile the particle of a different size will appear. The 10 percentile of the particle is in the size range of the 543.0 nanometer, and the 20 percentile of the particle is in the size range of 690 nanometer. And the smallest the particle size we noticed here is the 500 nanometer. But generally, whenever the particle is in the size range below 100 nanometer, we can call it as nano. Preferably for the fabrication of the composite and advanced material, we're using the nanomaterial which is having less than 100 nanometer particles as a nanometer particle. We're not considering this 543 nanometer size particle as the nano. So we'll further ball mill this sample for another 10 hours initially, and this is the field emission SEM micrograph, which we have taken earlier after ball milling for 10 hours of duration. The particles, you can identify the particles are having irregular shape, and they are actually clustering to one another, maybe due to some high surface energy acting on the surface of the particle. And so it is confirmed that the particle, the silicon particle which we have taken from the earlier stage, which has the size range lesser than the original size we have actually purchased. So we further continued this study for another 10 hours of duration. Then after 20 hours of the ball milling time, again the sample will be taken out, and we have follow the same procedure for preparing the sample. And again we'll get the chart like this. So the plot between the fluctuation intensity versus the size of a particle in nanometer. You can see this. Again, the particle size will looks almost in the same range, 1000 nanometer. There is a little changes. Actually, we have noticed in the 10%, a 10 percentile, we noticed the 565 nanometer. The lowest particle size we noticed is 565 nanometer, and the highest particle size we noticed is 1012 nanometer. So here, once after the 20 hours of the ball milling has taken place, we have taken out the sample, and we know that the smaller particle size are available, but they are tend to attracted to one another. I mean, the particles are undergone the ball milling operation for a longer duration of the 20 hours. There may be due to some high impact force. The particles, although they are what we can say undergo decrease in size, but they tend to agglomerate or clustering at this stage. So hence we are unable to distinguish or differentiate the smaller size particle at this stage. So we continued this ball milling for another 10 hours of duration. So again, that 10 hours, after 10 hours, at least at the end of the 30 hours of the ball milling, we have taken out the sample and tested for around DLS particle technique. The same procedure is followed for the sample preparation and all. So there we find the the lowest particle size is 78.5 nanometer. That's what we find at 10%. And the highest particle size we found is the 620 nanometer. And in this chart, the particle size distribution chart at the right side, we can find that the red bars, the vertical bars, are gradually shifting from higher particle size in nanometer to a lower side, from right side to left side. And also we can find that the majority, almost the average of particle size lane, the green lane, passing from the 100 nanometer. So here from this graph, it is concluded that majority of the particle are in the size range of 100 nanometer, 100 to 200 nanometer. But although some small quantity of the material is in the size range of some up to some 500 to 1000 nanometer. So since half of the almost the half of the sample is still above the 200 nanometer the particle size. So generally, in order to fabricate the composite and all, we have to use this on Actually, we have at the time of the investigation, continuing our work, we plan to use this material as a reinforcement. So uh, this quantity of material is not sufficient for our work. So we are again plan to extend our work for another 10 hours and continued for up to the 45 hours of the ball milling duration. And at the end of the 45 hours of the ball milling duration, the sample has been taken out, and we have conducted the survey, is the particle size analyzer. And the lowest, the particle size we found here is the 57.5 nanometer is the lowest particle size we found here, and the highest particle size found is the 291.5 nanometer. So, in comparison with the previous plot of the fluctuation intensity versus the size nanometer, the particle size distribution chart is almost shifted less than 100 nanometer. Here it is clearly visible that, in the previous chart, I'm sorry, the the side distribution chart, the highest peak only started from the 100 nanometer peak over here, and it will be continue up to 1000 nanometer. But here, at the end of the 45 hours of the ball milling time, that size distribution chart will start appearing from the 57.5 nanometer, and it will be goes on decreasing, and after 200 or 300, after 300 nanometer, so the quantity of the material above the 100 150 or 200 nanometer Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Okay. I'm sorry for the interruption. I think there's some network problem here. I don't know where it get disconnected. Shall I continue with the previous slide?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Previous slide.
Sir, okay, sir. Fine. Okay. Okay. In that case study, we are discussing about the micron size silicon carbide particle has been ball milled for another 10 hours. And the sample has been tested with the help of this DLS technique. And the sample after the test result will be visible like this. In that, the percentage chart, the 10% of the particle is under 78.50 nanometer. That means the smallest size particle we found here is 78.50, and the highest range of the particle size we obtained is 620 nanometer. But in comparison with the previous the test result, the particle size distribution chart has been shifted from higher to lower size of the particle. That means 1000 nanometer to 100. It is, you can observe the gradual shifting of this particle size distribution towards the left side here. And also the majority of the particle, you can see the highest peak here, highest peak in the sense, the highest number of the particle are in the range of this 100 nanometer. So although highest number of the particle are in the range of this 100 nanometer, the sum of the particle is above the 300 nanometer and up to 1000 nanometer is found in the test result. So the test has been extended. I mean, the ball milling operation has been extended for another 10 to 15 hours, and we conducted up to 45 hours, and the sample has been taken out. So that after the 45-hour test sample has been tested under this DLS particle size analyzer, the test result will show that the maximum size of a particle obtained is 57.50 nanometer, and the highest the particle size we obtained here is the 291.5 nanometer. In comparison with the previous test result of a 30 hours of ball milling, so the particle size has been greatly decreases from 500 to average the 50 to 200 nanometers. Okay, and also in this particle size distribution chart, you can identify that in case of the previous slide, the first the leftmost chart, the highest peak start from the 100 nanometer, and here beyond the 100 nanometer towards the left side, there are many peaks you can see here. And also the highest peak, it is beside of the 100 nanometer line. You can find that the highest peak it may be around some 60 to 65 nanometer. That means the majority of the particle comes under 100 nanometer. Although the majority of the particle is in 100 nanometer size range, you can see here at the 1000 nanometer range of the particle size distribution, you can find that the small peaks of this particle size distribution has been found. That may be due to the ball milled particle have undergone a series of the continuous impact force of a ball, and they get divided and exhibit the higher surface energy and tend to joining with a nearby particle. As we all know that by decreasing the particle size, the smaller size particle will exhibit the higher the surface energy. Because of that high surface energy, they tend to joining or combining with the nearby particle, so that a combined particle will actually showing like this, the particle with the bigger size. Apart from that, almost 90% of the particle looks around the size range of 100 nanometer. And at the peak summary, it is confirmed that the majority of the particle in the volume percentage they have mentioned, actually based on the volume percentage of a particle, volume of a sample we put in that glass chamber, 96.1 volume percentage of the particle is in the size range of 71.6 nanometer. Okay, so and I have mentioned previously, like the particle size will be deliberated in diameter. Although the particles are having irregular in shape, irregular in size or structure, with the help of the correlation between the fluctuation intensity and the time chart, we can able to deliberate the particle size in diameter. So the same has been obtained here as a dia of a nanometer, 71.6 nanometer. So that's confirmed that our work is reached that we are able to successfully developing nano size particle from micron to nano size silicon carbide particle. In order to confirm this DLS test result, we have done some another test and actually we have conducted a DLS test for all 10 hours, 10, 20, 30, 40, like up to 45 hours of the milling. But here for a time constraint, I have not shown this. This is the size range between this. After every 10 hours, we have classified this particle size range as a class A, B, C. The particles in the size range of 1 to 100 nanometer as a class A, and the particles in the size range of 101 to 200 nanometer as a class B, and the particles above the size range of 200 nanometer as a class C. So in the unmilled, the powder that is purchased directly from the seller is showing a particle size of 10 to 5 micron meter. And after 10 hours, the class A, class B size product, I mean the particles are not visible. And the class C size of the particles are visible. After 20 hours also, the class C size of the particles are visible. And after 30 hours, it is first time it is found that 78 to 90.4 nanometer size of particle is found. In case of the 30 hours of sample, both class A, class B, class C, all class of the particle has been appeared first time. And after the 40 hours, you can find that the lowest the particle size has been little bit increases in the 78.5 to 88.3. That may be due to the surface energy and a tendency of a smallest particle to be joining with the nearby particle. And at the end of the 45 hours, finally we are obtaining 57.5 to 92 nanometer. In order to confirm that this DLS result is correct or not, we have done several tests. So this sample is undergone the field emission scanning electron microscopy under up to 2 lakh magnification we have tried, and this is the micrograph for a 500 nanometer for higher and lower end magnification of 500 and 200 nanometer. You can identify this length of a particle here. The clustering or joining of a particle is more clearly visible here in this micrograph. Most of the time, the smaller size particle are agglomerated or joined to nearby the bigger particle. So that is because of the higher surface energy I have told you earlier. And likewise, so from the micrograph, it is confirmed that although the particles are below 100 nanometer size, although there are some bigger size of a particle is appear, the most of the particles in the sample is less than 100 nanometer. And also, the same sample has been undergone with another test called transmission electron microscopy analysis. That is TEM micrograph for ball milled silicon carbide powder after 45 hours of duration, ball milled for a 300 RP, and this is a CAD, selected area diffraction pattern for a sharp ring spot pattern is obtained. So here, with the help of a TEM analysis, after we are analyzing this sample, the ball milled sample for a 45 hour, we have obtained that. You can see this length is 100 nanometer. Many particles, they are combined with some other, nearby particle. You can see that the particles with a different size range, that is less than 100 nanometer. This is, there are many particles, they are overlapping one over the other. At the boundary, we can found some more the smallest size particle. So from this wide field images, it is confirmed that the particle we have ball milled reached less than 100 nanometer. And also the result, what is the test result we have obtained from the DLS technique, which is actually the correct. The same result is appearing actually these 10 images confirming the DLS result are correct. And also in this SAID, the selected area diffraction pattern reveals that we can say like that that pattern will be circular in it. We can identify a different circular pattern with a different diameter here. That actually indicates the crystalline structure of a ceramic particle which we have ball milled. That means the silicon carbide particle we have ball milled still in crystalline structure that will exhibit a different particle size, different size of a circle like you are seeing here, that indicating that different size of a particle appear. Okay, that means you can identify the smallest size circle is here. Apart from that, you can identify one more circle here in the middle and one more circle here and another outer circle here, the one more circle. Likewise, the different circle, the different ring pattern indicate that the particles in the sample solution is having particles in the sample having a different particle size. That means average the particles having a different range of the particles. The particle, that magnification level is 100 nanometer, that the particle size range is less than 100 nanometer. So that's what we obtained at the end of the test result. And that's all about my presentation. Before winding up my session, and I'm open to any questions or queries.
So any questions related to today's topic will be cleared by Madhusudan sir. So any questions? Okay, thank you Madhusudan sir very much for giving a valuable information on nanomaterials and all. I thank you once again for giving us an opportunity to hear your speak.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the opportunity. And I would like to convey my thanks and best wishes for the professor and head, Dr. Ganraju sir, who is my guide, mentor, and thanks for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. And I also thank everyone for attending this session. We'll meet up again tomorrow with next speakers. Thank you, everyone.